Hi, welcome back to my Artful Aging channel. I'm Lisa Lacroix, and I am here to support visibility, voice, wisdom, and wealth for women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. Today, I thought I'd share a little bit more about what is this artful aging. I have been thinking about this for quite a while, so I will share the 4 pillars of artful aging and tell you a little bit more about them. The values, the purpose, the focus of the channel is on voice, visibility, wisdom, and wealth. But the central tenets of artful aging are different. The way I see artful aging is a practice, principles, community, skill set, mindset, thinking, tactical choices that help us to change the narrative on aging in our culture. Changing the narrative on aging for everyone, regardless of whether you're younger than 40, and even if you don't identify as a woman, because the truth is all of us are aging, and the more we can do it in an artful way, the better. So how do you go about changing the narrative on aging so that we can all live lives that follow the principles of artful aging? The 4 central tenets as I see it, and it's not linear. These 4 tenets all intersect with each other. So I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll go back and I'll tell you a little more details about each one and what kind of content you can expect on this channel in each of those areas. The 4 tenets are optimization, reinvention, rebranding, and gracious acceptance. The first lily pad or tenet of artful aging is optimization. Optimization means all of the ways that we can go about taking the best advantage, shining the most brightly with the gifts that we have been given in this world, the gifts of our body in all of its unique glory, the brilliance of our brain and all of the ways that our brain is unique to us in its foibles and strengths and learning styles, all the ways that our lives have made us special. Optimization is about taking advantage of the inner, the outer, the higher, the lower, the base, the aspirational aspects of our beingness in the world. So that means, how do we optimize sleep? How do we optimize our skin? How do we appreciate and celebrate the parts of us that make us uniquely beautiful? What kind of fashion or clothes do we wear that is the best expression of our creativity and our inner world? How do we make the most of our financial world? How do we create an environment around us that supports our highest and best selves? Optimization is making the most of what we have been gifted. The second tenet of artful aging is reinvention. Reinvention means recreating and constantly evolving, constantly expressing ourselves as changing beings so that we don't get stuck in an old version of ourselves, so that we don't ossify, so that we don't hold on to that version of ourselves that used to be. This is a tough one because our culture is youth obsessed, and because we have so many messages crammed down our throats, presented to us on a daily basis on social media, in the news, in the words that we use in our culture, in the stories that we tell, in who gets rewarded, on who gets space. And all of those voices say, it's better to be younger. And so it's not surprising if you or if someone you know has the inclination to hold on to yesterday, to what they used to be, has the instinct to glorify youth in another, or the youth that you used to have. And in order to change that, we need to find models and examples. We need to be an illustration and to lead the way in creating new stories, in accepting and celebrating all of the ways that we're changing. So reinvention is our natural state. It's the course of our being human. It is 100% natural to our evolution as people. But it's when we stop it, when we try to ossify, that we get into trouble. So if we can constantly be reinventing ourselves, there's so much power in that. The third tenet of artful aging is rebranding. Rebranding is like the sister to reinvention. Reinvention is our commitment to being a constant work in progress. Rebranding is when we're willing to take up space, to use all that optimization that we've committed to so that we can take up space to tell new stories, so that we can create a new reality and a new future for not just ourselves, but for our sisters, for our friends, for our loved ones, for our daughters, for people that are coming up behind us. Rebranding is when we make a new story real, when we use ourselves as a vehicle for change, when we tell our stories. And the last tenet of artful aging is a little bit of a tough one in some cases, and that is gracious acceptance. Gracious acceptance of all of the things that may not be exactly as we wish them to be, regardless of how well we optimize, regardless of how committed we are to reinventing ourselves, no matter how effective we are at telling new stories and rebranding the truth of aging. The truth is that if we are human, sooner or later, grief and loss catch up to us. And sooner or later, there are going to be elements of our experience in the world, in these bodies, in these lives, that are not exactly what we would choose. That might be a circumstance or something that occurs in your life. That might be a life wallop or something that you didn't choose. It might be the changes in your body that, regardless of how well and how effectively you do optimize, ultimately you can't change and you wouldn't have chosen. Gracious acceptance is maybe one of the most important aspects of artful aging, in that it is necessary. And that if we're going to embrace the realness, the humanness of ourselves here in this body, in this life that is being human, we're going to have to accept things that we don't want. And we can either do that in a defeated way, or we can do that in a gracious way. And it's my belief that the more we can build skills for gracious acceptance, which include surrender and honesty, authenticity, a recognition of the fact that grief and loss and change is part of our journey, and a celebration and recognition and gratitude for the gifts we've been given. All of those things make up this last practice of artful aging that I call gracious acceptance. If you're here on my channel and you're new, thank you. Please subscribe, like, comment, tell me something about your experience artfully aging. Come on back regularly and join me on the journey of exploring optimization, reinvention, rebranding, and gracious acceptance as part of the path to artful aging.